I'm writing this in my closet. I needed an escape from the horrid, monstrous being in my room, so I hid in my closet. I told my parents I wanted a dog, so they got me one. They could have at least warned me about all the dangers. They never mentioned the dog was going to rampage around my room, knocking over lamps and eating my homework. Like, literally, I thought that was just a fiction thing. So instead of dealing with the creature like a responsible human being, I grabbed my pen and notebook, and now I'm here. Yeah, sure, the dog is adorable, but it's also a beastly, destructive demon. Why didn't my parents say the thing I expected, the thing that always happens in books and movies? Of course they had to listen to me. They always listen to me. Normally I wouldn't be mad about that, but right now I am because this cursed, crazy mini devil is running around my room. Valeria, your dog is so well behaved, my mom called cheerfully from downstairs. I shivered. If only she knew what it had done in my room. Now I sort of wish my mom would randomly burst into my room the way my friends' parents would. Then she'd know. She never comes into my room. I winced as I heard another crash. Glass shattering, an insane amount of small things collapsing to the ground, probably my piggy bank. I wonder how much money my new dog just pushed to the ground. Wait, why am I writing this diary entry as if it was a book or a story or something? Huh, maybe it could be a story. Sounds like it would be a good story. There's a pile of blankets I'm sitting on. That's the only good part about me not cleaning up my closet. However, I did find a giant plastic construction helmet with a light on it that I used to play with all the time when I was like 5, and somehow it still fits. That's how I had enough light to write this. Maybe I should have brought my phone. Oh, wait, I did, but I lost it somewhere in the pile of blankets. I heard the dog bark at the closet door. Alarmed, I hid underneath the blankets. Oh, my helmet's about to run out of battery. Maybe I should. I personally cut it off there, so.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. I can. The cutoff is effective. The battery dies. Okay. Great. So yeah, there's a couple layers of irony going on. And I think even you could say in that story that the two different like one of the ironies is a kind of double irony that even cancels out what appears to be the initial irony of the story. I'll talk about that in a minute. The first thing I'll just say is that the story is very, as with many of your stories, Lina, the voice is, I would describe the voice as being very winning and charismatic, personable, um, colloquial, very accessible even. What else would I say about it? And I think this is true of your writing in general, that the narrators tend to be kind of like kind of voicey, kind of chatty, like they're yeah, they almost like befriend you as a reader, and they have a, like I said, a kind of a very charismatic, kind of friendly cadence. So yeah, that's something I just want to say in general that I enjoy about your writing a lot. There are two kinds of ironies in this in the story that I want to point out. The first one, which seems like it's the most obvious form of irony, is that the protagonist of the story wants a dog and gets a dog, and it turns out that the dog is the thing that has caused the character to isolate herself from not only her family but also the rest of the world. The second irony is what we could call a formal irony, and this is the true irony of the story. I think it's a story that calls attention to itself as a work of writing. The protagonist acknowledges the fact that she is writing, that she's in a closet writing. She names the contextual and material conditions of her writing. She's working with such and such a notebook, with such and such a light. She talks about the blankets, the condition of the closet. So we know the conditions of production or creation within the story. The conditions of writing a story are, in other words, laid bare for the reader. So it's made into a kind of material experience. And then she acknowledges the fact that she is that she's almost essentially fictionalizing her diary entry by saying, why am I writing this as if it were a story of some kind? Maybe it would be a good story. That is where it gets really formally ironic, because now we have the suspicion as readers that perhaps what will follow in the rest of the story is a kind of fictionalizing of personal experience. It is, in other words, a highly stylized or narrated version of confession or of diary entry. So we therefore, as readers, become increasingly distrustful of the truth because the narrator, in other words, admits that she is writing her experience as if it were a story. And of course, personal experiences are never usually um, so aestheticized as fiction itself. She even says at one point about the dog, like, I thought this was the kind of thing that only happens in fiction. So immediately, as a reader, you're like, wait a minute. So is this really happening? And then there's the other thing where the mom is like, but the dog is so well behaved. So there's already a contradiction between the mother and the protagonist, and you have to, in other words, you have to question the protagonist's perspective. That is, in fact, irony. Um, so the dog thing, it turns out, is just like a red herring. It's like a little bit of it's like, it seems like that's what's going to be ironic, but it's really actually kind of it's like a false thread or something. Because really, what's ironic is the form of the story. So anyway, it's really smart, I thought. There's a lot more to say about it, but I think probably we should move on. So it's really great. Yeah, and indeed, formally ironic at its best, for sure.